Welcome, Tomies, to Saulum's Column Volume 4. I am DM Dave here, and I will be making these announcements for you today. So, today I was going to talk over some other little things of our Ko-Fi. And also, I have a big announcement for you later on in Saulum's Column. So excited for this, but let's get in the news. So, the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is our coloring pages. These coloring pages are available to you at $2 on our shop on Ko-Fi. They are exclusive art that Abby has drawn herself of Henley, of Roscoe. If you follow us on our social medias, you have seen them. And these are available for you to draw yourself. Just go visit us on Ko-Fi, go to our shop, and there you can purchase those coloring pages for $2. Also, there's an exclusive for members only, an activity book that Abby has created as well. We have had so much fan art, a lot of fan art, and we've gained permission from them to add those special things into our activity book. And that will be available exclusively for members. Any tier membership will be theirs. However, if you decide to go onto our tier 3, that activity book is included. Another thing I wanted to talk about is in tier 2. With tier 2, as I've mentioned in past ones, you get DM deep dives and you get Lila Garotha's inner dialogue, but you also get the music. You get the full length of released music and songs. And on top of that, you get the PDF file as well. What that means is that you guys can, if you play an instrument of some kind, you can play the songs. You can play Saulum Am I. You can play any released songs that we have had in our podcast so far. And that will be continually updated as we release more music and more songs in the podcast. If you are ambitious and want to go to tier 3, you get all, even unreleased music and songs written by D.A. Nichols that has been written for this podcast specifically. So keep aware of that. If you want more information about what goes on in our tier 3s and all our tiers, go to ko-fi.com/Tomes of the Chaos Bard and you can find all that information. Follow us there for continuous updates because following us is for free. Keep updated on everything that we have. Also wanted to give a big shout out to people who have done Feed the Cast. Remember that Feed the Cast is you get to donate to help feed us for the night when we record. A big shout out to some big fans and some people that we've just loved getting to know. Ryan and Sophie R. They donated to the Feed the Cast fund and they fed us for a night. They are a father and daughter that have been listening for a long time, and it's been so much fun interacting with them and getting to know them better. Thank you guys so much for that. Another person we'd like to thank is Derek for contributing to Feed the Cast. This one was a unique situation because he was actually able to come over and cook the cast food. It was delightful. We had German pancakes and got to know him a little better. However, that is not the only reason why he came over to Feed the Cast. He is a host for a DM advice podcast called How Not to DM. And he interviewed me, and that episode will come out on November 23rd of 2022. It was so exciting to be interviewed by him for his podcast. I've been a fan of that podcast for a long time. It's where I get a lot of my advice on how to DM, or like the podcast name is, How Not to DM. He's had a range of guests, from lowly podcasters like myself to people who work at Wizards of the Coast. So if you're interested on hearing their advice on how not to DM, go check him out. How Not to DM is the podcast name, and you can find him on any podcast platform. Another thing on our Ko-Fi and our commissions, where you can find Feed the Cast as well, is the sending spell. So this is a special little fun thing that for 25 words or less, you can send a special message to somebody or advertise something small for your company, or just a fun something that you can do in 25 words or less. That'll be $1, and that could be put into our next Saulum columns as well. We are in the process of, if you wanted to do a special advertisement for your podcast or for a product you have, we are working on making a commission for you guys as well. That will be a little longer than 25 words or less. That'll give you a time limit, or so many words for that. We haven't discussed on a exact price yet, but if you're interested on advertising on our show for your podcast or for your product that you have, go visit that Ko-Fi page as well in the commissions, and we will advertise for you. We're really big into rising together, that we help each other grow. It's not a competition out there. We're all looking for good entertainment and good positive things in the world, and we're willing to work with you and enjoy that as well. So go check that out on our commissions page, on our Ko-Fi page with Sending Spell. Now, before we get into the big reveal, big surprise, big announcement that we have, I also wanted to make this announcement. You guys have been so supportive in doing reviews and 5 stars. We discussed it and we decided that if you have at all did a rating, I know on Spotify you can only do like a 5-star rating, can't really add any comments. It's open to you guys as well. If you have given us a 5-star rating, period, whether it's with a review or just a 5-star rating, let us know, and we'll have Saulum give you a special shout out with that. We think it's only fair to give a shout out to everybody that has been supporting our podcast, that has been giving us 5-star reviews or just 5-star ratings. And with that, if you have given us a review and we have not given you a shout out on a previous episode, like Saulum hasn't read your review at all, please let us know. We want to make sure that you get your just dues for that. So let us know at chaosbardpod@gmail.com and let us know what platform it is. There's so many different podcast platforms and review platforms that we can't cover everything. We try, but hey, let us know. And if you've given us a 5-star rating, like on Spotify or on Apple or anywhere that you can give a 5-star rating, let us know, and we'll give you a shout out for that. Saulum will give you a special shout out in our upcoming Saulum's columns. Now, for our special announcement that we have for you, we are going to be at SaltCon here in Utah. This is a little gaming convention, and some of us will be on a panel with some other podcasters that are here in Utah. And also, we're going to have a table there. All of us members of the Tomes of the Chaos Bard podcast will be there in some shape or form. As of right now, we are all scheduled to be there. That's Becky, that's Evan, that's Zeb, that's Elsie, and that's me and Abby. That we will be there to meet and greet you at our special table. So just come and say hi if you're in the area and if you go there. Also, I will be running a game there. I signed up to run a little one-shot there. So if you're interested on playing at my table, come see us. I'm not sure when the dates are, but if you follow us on our social medias at Tomes of the Chaos Bard on Instagram, at Chaos Bard Pod on Twitter, or email us as well for updates at chaosbardpod@gmail.com. We are so excited for this to go and meet our fans and just get to know other podcasters and other people of this community that we live in that love TTRPGs, that love games, and just want to continue to grow and unite as families and friends on a fun activity, right? SaltCon. So we're really excited about that. Come see us again. That is in March, the first week of March, the 2nd through the 5th in 2023. We will have a table. I will be running a game. Come say hello. Now, our special teaser this week is DM Dave's Deep Dive for episodes 1, 2, and 3. I really enjoyed recording this one. It goes into how I created the first session, so episodes 1, 2, and 3, how I thought about how it was going to go, and so I hope you guys enjoy it. If you want to hear more, check out our Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/Tomes of the Chaos Bard to hear the rest of it. This is only a little teaser, so let's take a dive in the deep end with DM Dave's Deep Dives. Well, here we are. Welcome, Ko-Fi members. I am DM Dave, and thank you so much for your subscription, for your membership, for making things possible like this. This is DM Dave's Deep Dive, and here we will be talking about episodes 1, 2, and 3. Oh man, I'm so excited to get through this. So, the idea for this deep dive is to kind of give you an idea and share what I did to plan for this episode, for episodes 1, 2, and 3, and kind of go through the episode with you of how I planned it, kind of what inspired me to do certain things in the episodes, and also kind of what I learned through the process of after the execution and after my players chose what they chose, kind of what I learned, what I wanted to do better in the future. So, without further ado, let's dive in. So, to kind of begin my preparation for these episodes, we had a session 1 or a session 0. For those not familiar with a session 0, I would highly encourage it. A session 0 is you get together and you kind of create your characters together. This is a way to merge your backgrounds together, where you can find people that both characters are familiar with, and it's a way for the DM to kind of explain, hey, this is the kind of campaign I'm going to run. This is, is it a war one? Is it a political one? Kind of giving the characters an idea on what kind of campaign is going to be ran. So it gives the players an idea on how to create their players so they best fit the world. One frustrating thing I know as a player and a DM is, as a player, not being able to use all the skills that you wanted to use. And as a DM, not giving your players the opportunity to use the skills that they invested in. And so this gave us an opportunity to talk about that. What special thing did certain players want to enhance in the story? What they wanted to bring to the table, and it gave me ideas on how to execute those and giving them a spotlight. I think it's very important to give players a spotlight because that's a lot why we're here. We want to feel special. We want to feel needed. Each player needs to have a niche to be important to the group. And that was kind of our session 0, is how we would fill in those roles. So once we did that, it was plan time. So after we did session 0, I already had an idea on what I wanted to do and what I had learned from previous games in this land of Keleth and the history of it and learning how to execute it. I decided that we were going to have everything, players know each other, already starting in Hayden's Hollow. I decided to start in Hayden's Hollow because it was a place where my players were already familiar with, to kind of give the feel of normalcy. So as the listeners came in, as you guys came in to listen, you guys were already comfortable. Oh yeah, they're in Hayden's Hollow. Yeah, it seems like they already live here. They already know people. And that was why I decided to start in Hayden's Hollow. Plus, it was a small town, and so there wasn't anything overwhelming, not a lot of information that would overwhelm a listener, not bombarding them with a bunch of details. It's just a small little town with a few people there. And it helps that everybody already knows each other. The only thing I wanted to help introduce everybody with is to enter the city with someone. Henley was an NPC that I had in our campaign 2 that we played in this game. And my wife just loved the character and her background and her potential that she decided she wanted to play her as a PC. And I allowed it, and we discussed a little bit on her background and what she could do and everything. And Henley had left the Hollow before, and now she's on her way back. She's trying to find a purpose, was kind of what we decided at session 0. Abby wanted to help her find a purpose, a reason to be around. She's had a tragic backstory, which we've hit in the podcast, and if you're caught up to those. And so I won't go into it here, because it's in a future episode. But she's had a tragic backstory, and she just wants to find somewhere where she belongs. And her mother sent her back up to Hayden's Hollow because she believes it's there. And so there she was. And I really liked the idea of like the new person coming into town, where a lot of people may or may not remember her, but introducing the town through Henley's eyes with the audience. And I thought that was one thing that I wanted to do, and I think it was executed very well. Everybody was able to come in with Henley to see Hayden's Hollow and have it unfold in front of their eyes, just like it was for Henley. Another thing that I planned for episode 1, for this session, for episodes 1, 2, and 3, was to introduce the characters individually. I wanted to introduce them slowly so people could understand who they were and kind of get a little personality from them. I didn't want to give all 5 players to be like, here's all 5 players, love them, and trying to remember their names all at once, where it's just like, oh, Henley meets Roscoe. Perfect. Now you know Henley and Roscoe. Henley meets Fenrir. Now you know Fenrir. Then we go to Boudreaux, and then Boudreaux meets Henley. And eventually we bring Lila and Garotha in. First Lila, because Garotha hadn't revealed herself yet, but she is mentioned, and slowly introduce the characters there. That was my main goal, and I think it was executed very, very well. I'm very proud of episodes 1, 2, and 3. The only part of the episode that I'm not proud of is the audio, and I appreciate you guys sticking through that distortion. It was very frustrating when we finished recording and we found that distortion and there was nothing we could do. So I really appreciate you guys sticking with it and getting to this point. It's meant a lot to us to know that, we do have something to share, even if our audio was a little not that great at the beginning. So from there, I needed a call to action. I am a huge fan of the hero's journey. I think it's something Campbell kind of came up with this kind of rule of how a hero journey goes. You set the scene and then they get a call to action by something. And I really like that method. And so I use it all the time because I think it's a very good one and it's a very fantasy one as well. And so I used it. They needed something done. There was an issue with the lifts. Somebody had cut the ropes. And those lifts are very important because they could plant their crops up top, because down in the canyon there wasn't a lot of room to do that, especially for enough for people to live off of. I got that inspiration to have plants on the plateau from Native Americans. Down in Arizona, I feel bad because I should have looked it up, but there used to be a tribe of Indians. I remember them called the Cliff Dwellers. I wish I could remember the actual name. I apologize. But they used to do that to kind of protect themselves from enemies and stuff. They would live in the cliffs, and they would even carve out homes and build homes inside the cliffs so they could see their enemies coming. But on top of the plateaus, they would do their farming. And that's where I got the inspiration for that. I always thought that was such a cool idea, and I was like, hey, we're in a canyon. Why couldn't Hayden's Hollow do this? And so that's how I planned it. So this plateau was very important for them. And then we get introduced to the bad guy, the mini bad guy here, Mendrick Weathers. One thing that listening back on this episode, it was either nerves or sometimes I just say words wrong. If you've noticed through the podcast as you've been listening, sometimes I don't say words quite right. But I kept calling Mendrick Mendak. So I just wanted to make that clear. It is Mendrick, but because of nerves or whatever, I kept calling him Mendak for some reason. Anyways, I created him to kind of be the push for the group to figure out what was wrong and kind of give him somebody to point at. I think that's very important to kind of pinpoint a bad guy. I am a huge fan of having secret bad guys, but for the beginning, I wanted them to know for sure who was a bad guy, who they were against. Being very new to this kind of campaign, I wanted to make sure that they could trust me on that. For the reason of campaign 2, I had so many bad guys they didn't know who to trust. So this first one, I wanted it to be easy to see that this guy was not a good guy. And so I think it worked out very well because I didn't expect them to be so against him at first. Roscoe really got into his face. But it was good. They had a motive now. They had a reason to go check it out, to figure out maybe we can find more information on what happened, and to see if we can find the scouts that have been missing for a while. And so they got the call. So far, so good. Everything's going according to plan. Well, we head out. And we kind of run into my first encounter that I planned. I think it's very important early in the story to kind of set the tone of the adventure. And with this, having the gnolls appear was one of those moments. Now, I was very nervous to do this encounter with the gnolls. Gnolls aren't super hard, but for a level 1 characters, they are pretty. Well, there you have it, a little teaser of DM Dave's deep dive for chapters 1, 2, and 3. Thank you guys so much for following us, for listening. Keep sharing us with your friends and family. And if you want to hear the rest of DM Dave's deep dives and more coming in, I'm going to go through every episode, every session that we did. Follow us on ko-fi.com/Tomes of the Chaos Bard and go be a membership on our tier 2. There you'll hear the full version of it. And with that, you'll automatically get the tier 1 stuff, which is the post show as well. So go check that out. Thank you guys so much for your support, for your love. And until next time, we unroll the scroll to tell the tale. Bye!